Recording.
Sure lang din po.
The Committee on Civil Service, Government Reorganization, and Professional Regulation, joined with the Committees on Science and Technology, Education, Arts and Culture, and Finance, will discuss and deliberate the following bills and resolutions. First,
Okay na.
topic of
Okay na ganyan.
Senate Bill number 1630, an act regulating the practice of microbiology in the Philippines and for other purposes. Of quantity survey, Senate Bill number 1890, an act regulating the registration, licensure, and practice of quantity survey, providing funds therefore for other related purposes. On medical technology, Senate Bill number 1891, an act regulating and modernizing the practice of medical technology in the Philippines, providing funds therefore for other related purposes. On audiology, Senate Bill number 1892, an act professionalizing the practice of audiology and creating for the purpose a professional regulatory board of audiology, appropriating funds therefore and therefore creating an audiologic education, integrating audiologists and for other purposes. On the topic of the Continuing Professional Development Act Law, or RA 10912, proposed Senate Resolution SR 441, resolution to direct the Senate Committee on Civil Service, Government Organization and Professional Regulation, and other appropriate committees to conduct an inquiry into the legislation on the complaints of various stakeholders on the implementation of Republic Act number 10912, or the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016, with the end in view of reviewing the guidelines and procedures and the implementation of the law and introducing, proposing possible amendments to the law, the implementing rules and regulations, and or the operating guidelines therefore to each profession. Proposed Senate Resolution 769, resolution urging the Senate Committees on Civil Service and Government Reorganization and Public Services to conduct an inquiry in need of legislation into the reported overburdening circumstances brought about by the implementation of RA 9 number 10912, otherwise known as the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016, with the goal of formulating measures to make compliance with said law affordable, convenient, reasonable, and efficient. Proposed Senate Resolution 784, resolution directing the appropriate committee to conduct an inquiry in need of legislation on the implementation of Republic Act number 10912, or the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. Senate Bill number 1817, an act amending Republic Act number 10912, for the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. Senate Bill number 1853, an act amending Section 10 of the Republic Act number 10912, otherwise known as the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. And increasing the salary grade of teachers, Senate Bill number 470, an act increasing the minimum salary grade of public school teachers from salary grade 11 to 20 and providing funds therefore. Senate Bill 135, an act upgrading the minimum salary grade level of teachers from salary grade 11 to 19. On the Code of Conduct for Public Officials and Employees, Senate Bill number 1924, an act amending Section 3L Republic Act number 6713, for the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. And lastly, the granting survivorship benefits to the dependent children of a deceased retired member of the Commission. Senate Bill number 1917, an act granting survivorship benefits to the dependent children of a deceased retired member of the Commission on Audit, Civil Service Commission, Commission on Elections, and the Ombudsman, who is a solo parent or surviving parents or nominated persons of such deceased retiree, or the surviving parents or nominated persons of such deceased retiree, amended for the purpose Republic Act number 10084, entitled An Act Granting Survivorship Benefits to the Surviving Legitimate Spouse of a Deceased Retired Member, or the Commission on Audit, Civil Service Commission, Commission on Elections, and the Ombudsman, and for other purposes. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Committee Secretary. May I ask the presence of
Senator Lisa Ontiveros. Ma'am, good morning. With that, we have a quorum. And just to inform everyone, nagalitaan na they're about to arrest me. So ito na yung parang speedy hearing. Anyway, we will first deal with Senate Bill number 1917. So, in relation to the granting of survivorship benefits to the dependent children of deceased retired members of the constitutional bodies. So, may I ask the position of the Civil Service Commission first?
Good morning, Your Honors.
Yes, Commissioner.
The Civil Service Commission, Your Honors, fully supports that measure. I think it's about time that for the members of this constitutional commission to really perform their functions efficiently, effectively, and independently as constitutional commissions. Then those benefits will be given not only to them but to those they will leave behind in case. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat po. Course Commissioner Gonzon, ma'am, can I get your position regarding this bill?
Thank you, sir. The law that the Senate bill seeks to amend is, to my mind, violative of the equal protection of the law of citizens, because it grants survivorship pensions only to those who have surviving legitimate spouses. In other words, the retiree commissioner or ombudsman must have been married and must have had a spouse at the time of retirement.
So,
This discriminates, Mr. Chair, Your Honors, against those who are unmarried commissioners like me, because it discriminates on the basis of status.
okay, ma'am, in relation to that, can you recommend an amendment so we can be more inclusive in this particular bill? Because but the spirit, in as far as the spirit of the bill before us, we agree that survivorship benefits should be given to dependents of deceased retired members, to include, of course, regardless of the civil status, provided they indicate their intended beneficiaries.
Yes, yes, Your Honor. In fact, this
So-
bill goes even further to recommend that the retiree can nominate any person or persons at the time of the retirement. Meaning to say, the retiree can nominate a person who is not related to her, or a person who is her partner, or a person who is under her care.
So you are amenable to that, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
In
so
fact, the words nominate any persons is all-inclusive
Okay.
and can catch all these new ramifications of modern Filipino family.
okay, we're amenable to that. Would the other stakeholders be amenable to that as well? I'll go back to the civil service commission.
Your Honor, just to be fair, for the members of the commission who are not married, we agree that they can nominate the person who will receive the benefits. But there should be very clear parameters as to who should be nominated.
Of course,
Because they cannot just nominate every home they can have. It has to be within reasonable limits. Your Honor.
Okay, well, anyway, we intend to conduct a technical working group meeting for this so that we can find the common ground to the different stakeholders. So, ma'am, yes, please.
Okay. Being a teacher, I can resist some questions. Will ASEC Rogelio answer some questions?
These concerns can be better
Yes.
addressed at a different time.
Because,
Well, I
Can
hope
I
you
comment,
understand.
Mr. Chair,
Okay,
on
please,
what
go ahead.
is said? If you limit the application of the phrase any person to some kind of standard, which attorney or ASEC Ronquillo calls reasonable basis, that will give discretion later to the courts to cancel the survivorship pension should anyone contest, which
Yes po,
will
opo.
be a big mess.
Hindi nga.
The
Hindi
reason
po
why, Your
bumabagsak
Honor,
kasi.
there is no classification for any person
Nakakawa.
is because the
Hindi nalalak.
purpose of the
Hindi po
bill
nalalak. Opo,
is to
maluwag.
recognize that there are people in our lives,
Imam Beo.
including children under our care, who are probably going to be the persons who will take care of us when we grow very
Maluwag
old,
po yan.
grow very sick, and ultimately die. So if I say reasonable basis, I cannot agree to that because I cannot find any reasonable basis for classifying any persons as a beneficiary. Thank you, Your Honor.
But thank you, Commissioner Guanzon. I believe Assistant Commissioner Ronquillo just made or manifested his opinion, and nobody is agreeing or disagreeing with anyone at this point. So be assured that all your concerns would be heard at the proper time in that technical working group meeting. But we need first to get on board with this bill, because if you will not agree with the essence of this bill, then we cannot move forward. So anyway, I will ask the Ombudsman, Office of the Ombudsman. Okay. What about DBM and DBM, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Again, for the CPM, we acknowledge the power of the Senate or the Congress to enact laws. But in line with our mandate, we set forward this outward office. For one, constitutional officials are already entitled to special tax benefits. It's not being enjoyed by other members of the bureaucracy. For example, the text that, for example.
Excuse me, Attorney Garcia. Can you just submit to the committee your position paper? So, in essence, you're not agreeing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're opposing. Then, what about GSIS, please? Senator.
The part of the DSS, Mr. Chair, is that the posting actions and recognizing the work and valuable contributions to the members of the
So, anyway, we have heard the initial concerns. So, just await for the scheduled DWG. So
Ayan na, yung una ko.
we can come to an agreement. Or if we don't come to an agreement, then this bill will not move forward. Okay? So, at this point,
Hindi sumasagot pa ako kanina.
so for that, we will suspend the consideration of Senate Bill number 197. Those resource persons who are no longer required for the other bills are excused. Ma'am, you're excused, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. So, we now consider Senate Bill number 1924, an act amending Section 3(1), Republic Act number 6713, or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. So, before kukuhanin yung mga posisyon ng mga iba't ibang stakeholders, ito kasi ay nag-trigger ng isang controversy involving the Solicitor General. At apparently, meron siyang mga kontrata sa gobyerno, and ang sinasabi niya ay hindi naman daw siya covered ng constitutional prohibition, at hindi siya covered nitong mga, o hindi siya nag-violate nitong RA 6713. So, anyway, ito po ang kaso ni Mr. Calida. Si Mr. Calida was appointed as the 48th Solicitor General of the Philippines on July 2016. Next. So, base sa ating timeline na nakuha, so nung as early as as early as April 4, 2016, siya po ay presidente nitong Vigilant Security Agency. Ang shareholder po niya ay 60% under his name, pero yung 40% ay doon sa kanyang asawa at mga anak. So, June 30 nga, siya ay na-appoint. Then, July 13, 2016, according to a letter signed by Mr. Calida, siya ay nag-resign na as president ng kanyang security agency. Tapos, noong April 5, 2017, nakita natin, base sa mga dokumento, ay siya pa rin ay shareholder ng Vigilant Security Agency, amounting to 60% of the total shares. Ganon din, based dun sa March 30, 2018 document na nakuha natin, siya pa rin ang shareholder ng Visa or Vigilant Security Agency, amounting again to 60%. Next. So dito, ito yung mga documents na yon. So April 4, 2016, ayan yun, ano? Yan yung officially siya yung presidente. Next. So, yan yung kanyang designation at yung corresponding shares. So nakikita nyo, 60% kay Mr. Calida, 10% each dun sa kanyang asawa at sa kanyang mga anak. Next. So, ito yung sulat informing the Securities and Exchange Commission na nag-resign na si Mr. Calida. July 30, 2016. Sige. However, records from the General Information Sheet submitted by Vigilant Security Agency to the SEC shows that while his resignation, Solicitor General Calida remained to be a majority shareholder in the security company. So ito po yan. Maliwanag dito sa documents na ito na siya ay nagko-control ng 60% ownership. So ang basis po nitong table na to ay yung mga JS or SEC documents. Next. Ganun din, as late as March 30, 2018, kita natin dito sa SEC documents, siya po rin ang may hawak ng 60% ng share. Ito si Mr. Galita. So in short, hindi siya nag-divest. Next. Okay. Ngayon ito naman yung mga kontrata na nakuha ni Mr. Galita from July 2016 to present. So sa DOJ, worth 6.7 million at 5.6 million. Sa PAGCOR naman, merong 17.5 million, 5.8 million, 25.6 million, 71.6 million, 2.5 million, 43.9 million, 15.2 million. Sa National Electrification Administration, meron din siyang 17.9 million. Sa National Anti-Poverty Commission, 2.8 million. Sa NETA, meron siyang 6.8 million. Sa House of Representatives, meron 53.7 million, 42.4 million. Sa National Parks Development Committee, meron 29.2 million, 10.3 million. So, ang total nito lahat ay 358.3 million pesos. Ang nakuhang kontrata ng security agency ni Mr. Kalita at ng kanyang pamilya.
Saan ba kaya pwede ipatong?
Sige,
Saan
next.
pwede ipatong?
Ngayon, based dun sa Philippine Government
Binabago naman ng sobrang baba.
website, si Solicitor General Kalita remain to be President and contact person of Vigilant Security Agency for government contracts despite the fact na sinasabi na nung sumulat na siya ng resignation. So ito yung resibo niya. So dito, na-award ng December 20, 2017, contact person si Mr. Kalita. Ang designation, President. So as late as 2017. Sige, next. Ganun din, no? 18 January 2017,
Ito pa po.
Jose Kalita,
Dalawa pa po.
contact person,
Opo.
President.
Lahat pala.
Designation. Another one. July 29, 2017,
Tsaka ito pa
again,
isa po.
contact person, Jose Kalita, a designation,
Buti na lang, nandito yung
President.
update pa.
Oo nga po eh.
So,
Hindi na po bumala ng
factor yan. So,
Ay,
so mga factor, ano yan. So, lumalabas ito lahat. And after nung sinasabi niya nag-resign daw siya.
Pilay na pilay pa rin.
ganun ba?
Okay, maliwanag ito. Sa iba't ibang kontrata sa factor.
Ay,
Ganyan.
sorry po. Sorry.
Dito sa DOJ, ganun din. Award ng kontrata, 19 January 2017. Contact person, Mr. Kalita, designation, President. Next. No, sige. Dito sa NEA, September 23, 2016. Na-award yung kontrata, Jose Kalita pa rin ang contact person at designation presidente. Pati sa NETA, ganun din. Lahat yan ay after nung sulat na sinabi na nag-resign na siya. So dito, maliwanag na as far as the government is concerned, ang presidente nitong Vigilant Security Agency ay si Mr. Kalita. Sige, next. Ang ginamit, so therefore, it's either mag-resign ka or mag-divest ka. Ang sinabi niya, nag-resign na raw siya, kaya hindi niya na kailangan mag-divest. So kung ganito ganito mag-isip ang ating Solicitor General, talagang kaya pala balubaluktot na yung ating justice system ngayon. Kasi ang sinasabi dito, and or, pagka-presidente ka or officer ka, and meron kang stake, gagawin mo parehas. Pero kung officer ka lang, hindi ka naman stakeholder, edi isa lang ang gagawin mo. Ganun ka-basic yan. Pero apparently, in the not so brilliant mind of Mr. Calida, iba ang kanyang interpretasyon. Sige, next. Okay, arguments proving the liability of Solicitor General Calida under RA 6713, particularly on the conflict of interest provision. Next. At pati dito sa ating 1987 Constitution. Article 7, Section 13 states the President, Vice President, members of the Cabinet, their deputies, or assistants shall not, unless otherwise provided in this Constitution, hold any other office or employment during that tenure. They shall not, during said tenure, directly or indirectly practice any other profession, participate in any business, or be financially interested in any contract with or in any franchise or special privilege granted by the government or any subdivision, agency, or instrumentality thereof, including government-owned or controlled corporations or their subsidiaries. They shall strictly avoid conflict of interest in the conduct of their office. Maliwanag na maliwanag po Tapos, dito po, sa conflict of interest provision ng RA 6713, Section 3, it is defined. Conflict of interest arises when a public official or employee is a member of a board, an officer, or a substantial stockholder of a private corporation or owner, or has substantial interest in a business, and the interest of such corporation or business, or its rights or duties therein may be opposed to or affected by the faithful performance of official duty. Ngayon, sabi ni Mr. Calida, wala naman daw conflict dahil hindi naman daw niya under itong mga iba't ibang opisina kung saan siya may kontrata. Nakalagay dito, definition of divestment. The public official or employee shall avoid conflicts of interest at all times. When a conflict of interest arises, he shall resign from his position in any private business enterprise within 30 days from his assumption of office and or divest himself of shareholdings or interest within 60 days from such assumption. Ito yung sinasabi niyang and or down. And ang applicable dito kay Mr. Calida kasi officer ka na, shareholder ka pa. Hindi mo ba naisip yun? Anyway, dito siya ngayon mapupusoy. According dito sa Administrative Code of 1987, Section 35, Powers and Functions, the Office of the Solicitor General shall represent the government of the Philippines, its agencies, and instrumentalities, and its officials and agents in any litigation, proceeding, investigation, or matter requiring the services of lawyers. So in short, kliyente niya lahat ng mga opisina kung saan may kontrata itong Vigilant Security Agency. Maliwanag ito. Huling-huli ka sa bitas dito, Mr. Calida. Anyway, I will ask the opinion nitong mga research persons natin after this. So, ngayon, para lang mabilis, can I ask the Civil Service Commission, ano ba ang opinion ninyo? May conflict of interest bang ginawa o may violation of the law ba na nagawa itong si Mr. Calida o wala?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Your Honors. We have submitted our position paper on the issue, Mr. Chair. In our position paper, we stated there that the present law, RA 6713, its amendment, to be strengthened because we believe that this law has inherent weaknesses that will not automatically make the person liable in case conflict of interest arises.
Okay, but Naintindihan ko yung difficulty sa position ninyo. Pero itong situation na to, magprangkahan lang po tayo. Based on the Administrative Code, yung Solicitor General, siya yung abogado ng lahat ng agencies ng government. Ngayon, itong Vigilant Security Agency na kung saan siya ang majority shareholder ay may kontrata dito sa mga agencies na ito. Meron bang conflict of interest doon o wala?
Your Honor, under the law for conflict of interest to arise, that interest in the corporation must be opposed to or affected by the faithful performance of duty.
Yes.
That's why I was saying earlier, it's not automatic, it has to be proven. Because it
Yes.
can be opposed to or affected.
Kaya nga, kaso nga abogado siya ng mga agency, tell me maapektuhan ba o hindi. Kung sakali may problema dun sa kaso, ay dun sa kontrata, paano yun?
In that case, Mr. Chair, I will say that it will be affected.
So precisely, di ba? Okay. Salamat po. Ngayon alam nyo, pinatawag ko itong si Mr. Kalita dahil OSD nga siya. Kaso, nininervyo siguro yung mama, kaya nagpadala, na lang na abogado. But, kasi kung gano'n ka bulukot, kung gano'n ka twisted yung kanyang interpretation ng batas, talagang no wonder nagawing lang yung ating bansa. Pinalala niya sinira ng amo niya, pinalala pa niya. Ngayon, the Office of the Ombudsman, o DOJ na lang, DOJ.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. For the DOJ, we're still under the process of evaluating and studying the proposed bill, Your Honor. But the department lauds the meritorious objectives of the proposed bill in maintaining professionalism as well as in maintaining the highest ethical standards for public officials and employees.
Now, I will ask you the same question. In relation to this specific example na sinet ko, kasi this is relevant. Okay? Gusto natin na amyendahan yung batas at palakasin. Yung ganitong kaso, sa ngayon, sinasabi ko sa inyo, may violation ba to? Wala.
Your Honor, this is not the official position of the department, but I agree with CSE that the conflict of interest may not be it is not automatic that there is conflict of interest. However, because there's the parameters set by law, which means that the interest of the corporation or the business or the rights and the duties of the person therein is opposed to or may affect the full performance.
May affect. Ikaw yung abogado ng korporasyon, tapos may kontrata ka na ikaw yung presidente at shareholder, for that matter, 100% ownership kasi family-owned yan . Tell me, Attorney Abellano, maapektuhan ba hindi?
In that case, Your Honor, it may seem that it may appear that there could be conflict of
Yes,
interest.
so that's good enough. Naintindihan kita. But that's good enough. And I admire you na nagawa mo ng soft landing yung video mo. Can I ask now the Integrated Bar of the Philippines?
Can I just comment, but not specifically in relation to the case of the Solicitor General as such. It's possible that this will reach the IDP as an empty case. So can I just respond as a...
Hypothetically.
Yes, hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
Of course, the Solicitor General is the lawyer of government, Your Honor. And,
I'm sorry.
the lawyer of government
Yeah.
is the Solicitor General. And as such lawyers, involved in investigation is also involved in contract review and enforcement of contract should contract be violated by the private contracting party transacting government. So, for instance, in the ethics of lawyers, we avoid not only actual conflict of interest, we should also avoid potential conflict of interest. So that as a lawyer, you should be able to anticipate if a particular case or a particular contract can actually cause you to be in a conflict of interest.
So yan, kung may ethics yung abogado.
In this case, Supreme Court has been asked to actually sanction lawyers are faced with such a potential conflict of interest.
Sana naman, ipag-dispar nyo na.
Excuse me lang.
Di ba? Anyway, so, di ba, consistent dun sa statement ni Atty. Abellano. Di ba? Kasi may contract review. Part ng trabaho niya being a lawyer of the government agencies, talagang mandated siya to review contracts. Yung kontrata siya may-ari ng kumpanya na yun. Palagay ko maliwanag na yan sa mga kababayan natin. Kung hindi pa maliwanag yan sa ibang resource persons natin, either natatakot kayo sa posisyon ninyo or nagsisinungaling kayo. So, can I ask the opinion of the representative of UP College of Law?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Yes.
The UP Law Center was requested through the Institute of Government Law Reform to comment on the amendment. And this is our opinion for the amendment of exerting undue influence in government meetings for one's benefit or personal gain. So, because the conflict of interest may not be necessary because conflict of exerting undue influence or gain of personal gain is already covered under the other laws under the regime of public authority.
So, duly noted, but in relation to this specific example, meron violation?
Not authorized to
No,
ask
no.
you.
Well, I am asking you personally, not as a representative of the College of Law, pero yung mga estudyante siguro nakikinig din kung ano opinion ni Atty. Espinosa.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that is.
Hypothetically, sir.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, Your Honor, since the investment is required, either if you occupy a position in a private business, or if you have if you own shares or have a financial interest in a private business, due the required number of days, 30 days for position and 60 days for ownership or financial interest, then hypothetically.
Okay, yes. So that's good enough, ma'am. And so, maliwanag sa case mo yung mga estudyante niya would be proud of you. Anyway, so dito sa kasong ito na incidentally ay we will be filing appropriate charges against Mr. Calida. So, in relation to Senate Bill number 1924. Okay. So, Ms. Raisa Robles would have something to say about this particular information as well. Ms. Raisa, you are recognized.
Good morning. Senator Antonio Trillanes, Chairman of the Civil Service, Government Organization and Professional Regulation. Senator Risa Contiveros. I was invited to attend today's hearing as a source person, and so I will be sharing my views as a journalist. Frankly, I don't even know why I'm here. I was assured by a presidential communications office official that no violated the law. The country was then coming out of the most corrupt regime in the Philippines. The regime had left the government bankrupt and most Filipinos very poor. And so, lawmakers made a law, Republic Act 6713, called an act establishing a code of conduct and ethical standards for public officials and employees to address this twin problem. Our history has demonstrated to us so dramatically and painfully that corruption hits most Filipinos poor. What should go to citizens is often diverted to the pockets of a few politicians and their crony businessmen. Has RA 6713 made a difference? The results are mixed. No less than a sitting president was convicted for violating RA 6713, and a sitting Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was impeached. Ironically, President Joseph Estrada was among those who signed RA 6713 into law. I know that because I was covering him at the time. Today, removing public officials for violating this law has become more frequent, even routine. However, RA 6713 has gaps that clever officials have exploited. One of those gaps is the definition of conflict of interest. Another gap is something I have long hoped that lawmakers would plug. So I'm taking this opportunity. RA 6713 punishes both private citizens who bribe officials and officials who accept bribes. But you know what? We have no law punishing public officials who bribe media men, especially with state funds. Such transactions put journalists in a conflict of interest situation. Time and again, lists of newsmen on the payroll of public officials have surfaced, but officials cannot be charged, nor can newsmen complain, because there's no law against it. You look at the revised penal code, there is no law punishing public officials bribing media men. And you know what? It's called coffee money. You know, they call it coffee money, or for transportation, or for the boys. Anyway, I thought I would mention this as something I hope lawmakers would think about. Now back to conflict of interest provision of RA 6713. The present provision defines conflict of interest this way. Conflict of interest arises when a public official or employee is a member of a board, an officer, or a substantial stockholder of a private corporation, or owner, or has a substantial interest in a business, and the interest of such corporation or business, or his rights or duties therein, may be opposed to or affected by the faithful performance of official duty. Mr. Chairman, you propose to add the following sentence to this subsection. Exerting a due influence in government dealings for one's benefit or personal gain is also considered conflict of interest. Mr. Chairman, when I was initially invited to appear before this committee, the thrust was to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the conflict of interest of Solicitor General Jose Calida, arising from security service contracts between national government agencies and Vigilant, Investigative, and Security Agency, Inc., which Calida continues to own and control, although his son is now the CEO. Among the clients of Vigilant are NEDA, National Anti-Poverty Commission, Department of Justice, National Parks Development Committee, House of Representatives, PAGCOR, and National Electrification Administration. These companies awarded Vigilant 14 government contracts worth a total of $261 million in just 1.5 years. By contrast, before Duterte's election, it took the company 10 years to gross 134 million, while Kalida, now the Solgen, was running the agency 10 years, as opposed to 1.5 years under his CEO's son. Maybe his son is a much better CEO? Or was there something else that changed? The only thing that changed was that Kalida was back in a government post. But this time, he had a ear of no less than the president, who is also a personal friend. Did that count? Yesterday, I tried asking Liza Masa, the newly resigned chair of the National Anti-Poverty Commission, 2 questions. 1. When Liza Masa signed the contract to engage Vigilant as the Commission's security agency, starting this January, did she know that Kalida was behind it or owned it? 2. If she knew, why did she sign the contract? Just by way of background, Vigilant was already the security agency at the Commission before Masa took over, but Kalida was not in government then. Ms. Liza Masa gave me this statement as her reply. There was already a bidding process before my time. The recommendation is to continue the contract renewable yearly, subject to satisfactory performance in the agency. Notice she did not answer my question whether she knew Kalida was behind the agency or still owned it. Perhaps she might answer you, Mr. Chairman, if you subpoena her. 2 months ago, I wrote on my blog that 6 of the 14 government contracts worth 61 million that Soldier Kalida Security Agency signed very likely put him in the direct and continuing conflict of interest. Why? Because if there is any problem with these contracts, if there is any problem with the security agency, guess who the government lawyer is who will handle it? That's right, the Solicitor General. These contracts have the Office of the Solgen as the standby lawyer should any conflict arise between the government agency contractor and Kalida Security Agency. The other 8 contracts of Vigilant were with government-owned and controlled corporations and the House of Representatives. GOCCs have the Office of the Government Corporate Counsel as its standby lawyer in contract disputes, not the OSG. Well, the House of Representatives is full of lawyers, so they don't need outside help. When I reread Chairman Trillanes' Senate resolution on the regional investigation of this committee, however, I realized that Solgen Kalida is in a direct and continuing conflict of interest with not just 6, but with all 14 government contracts signed by Vigilance starting July 2016, when Kalida became the Solgen. I did not realize that until I had read the Senate resolution. Coincidentally, it was Solgen Kalida who placed himself in this direct and continuing conflict of interest situation by filing and then winning the co-warrant of case against Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Let me explain this and how this now ties in with Senator Trillanes' proposed amendment of RA 6713, which has never been amended before. The chairman of this committee has proposed adding that exerting undue influence in government dealings for one's benefit or personal gain should be considered conflict of interest. What does undue influence mean? The word undue is used 3 times in RA 6713. Section 4 discourages all government officials from giving the wrong perceptions of their role as dispensers of undue patronage. Section 4 also cautions them to not dispense or extend undue favors on account of their office to their relatives. And Section 7 lists the giving of undue advantage to anyone as a prohibited act. But nowhere does the code of conduct use the phrase undue influence. Still, the phrase is well established in Philippine jurisprudence, but only in cases involving last wills and testaments of a testator or someone whose property is being transmitted through a last will and testament. Let me just read out to you two definitions of undue influence established through court decisions. I'm taking this from the Philippine Law Dictionary of the late Court of Appeals Justice Federico Moreno. In the case of Alojado v. Bocalos, undue influence connotes the idea of coercion by virtue of which the judgment of the testator or person writing out his will is displaced, and he is induced to do that which he otherwise would not have done. The case of Abad Santos versus Abad Santos elaborates that undue influence must in some measure destroy the free agency of the testator and interfere with the exercise of that independent discretion which the law requires the testator to possess as essential to a valid testamentary disposition. Now just substitute the word government official for testator, and you see that the same meaning can be used to help define undue influence by a public official. In the case of the Solicitor General, and I am referring to anyone who occupies this post, undue influence acquired a special meaning after Sergeant Felida won the quo warranto case against Sereno. The Supreme Court decision on quo warranto recognized that, and I quote, the Solicitor General has a prerogative in the institution of an action for quo warranto. But the court hastened to dissuade and allay the fear that the ruling on the availability of quo warranto would allow the Solicitor General to wield a sword over our collective heads. Nevertheless, the Solgen can wield that power against any government official or employee. Just as the office of the President has been used to accumulate ill-gotten wealth, it is not beyond imagination to have a Solicitor General. And I'm not referring specifically to Sergeant Kalida, who might use the power of quo warranto for selfish ends. Because of this vast power, I submit, Mr. Chairman, that whoever occupies the post of Solicitor General has the potential of asserting undue influence. And when it is done for personal gain, it falls within the ambit of conflict of interest. And how does one establish personal gain? When a public official, most especially a Solgen, and or, together with his family, own 51% of a company which lands a government contract in any agency. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Ms. Robles. Finally, can I ask the opinion of the Ombudsman regarding both the Senate bill in consideration and this specific case of Mr. Kalida?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Honors, the presentation of the Office of the Ombudsman was under the impression that the opinion or comment would be in relation to the proposed amendment. In view of the to avoid preempting the resolution of an anticipated or a pending case, it is but proper for the Office of Ombudsman to not comment on the actual case of Mr. General Kalida. But we have a number of comments on the proposed amendment of the kind indulgence of the
So can you just submit to the committee your position paper in relation to the bill? those comments.
Yes,
And okay, I understand totally that you cannot comment about anything in relation to an existing case. But hypothetically, kunyari ikaw ay abogado ng isang ahensya ng gobyerno at may-ari ka ng isang kumpanya na nanalo ng isang government contract doon mismo sa ahensya na yun. Ano ang conflict of interest doon? Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, Your Honor, if it could be proven that the contract, the interest would be opposed to or affected the unlawful performance of duty.
So in that particular case,
Then certain.
so in that case, yes. Kasi as a government lawyer, ikaw magre-review ng kontrata. Right? So, let's go may kung disadvantageous na the government, ikaw may-ari nun eh. Paano malagay mo may apektuhan ba yun?
In that particular case, Your Honor, there would be a particular person involved that would jive into the actual case of Mr. General Galita, and that I think the office mechanical chairman comment on the example of a government lawyer reviewing a contract.
Anyway, that's fair enough. So with that, we Senator Risa.
Thank you, Chair. Before the Chair suspends the hearing on this particular bill, I'd just like to make a record that at the proper time, Chair, I will propose an amendment to that important additional definition of conflict of interest that the bill proposes, so that it would be for one's benefit or, let me start from the beginning, exerting undue influence in government dealings for one's benefit or personal gain, and then I would propose later, Chair, to add, including the benefit or gain to immediate family, is considered conflict of interest. Meron pong, and I'm sure the lawyers here know better than me, meron pong important jurisprudence ng Supreme Court, yung kaso po ng Teves and Teves versus Sandigan Bayan, kung saan mababasa doon yung excerpt. Even if the ownership of petitioner Edgar Teves over the cockpit were transferred to his wife, still he would have a direct interest thereon because, as correctly held by respondent Sandigan Bayan, they remained married to each other from 1983 up to 1992. And Section 143 of the Civil Code declares all the property of the conjugal partnership of gains to be owned in common by the husband and wife. Hence, his interest in the Valencia conflict is direct and is therefore prohibited. And ito po yung ipapanukala po, Chair, at the proper time, dahil we must let legislation reflect jurisprudence. Salamat, Chair.
Maraming salamat, Senator Tiveros. With that, we will suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 1924. So those concerned resource persons who are no longer resource persons to the other Senate bills on the agenda are hereby excused. So before we move on, may I ask the committee secretary to administer the oath of some of the concerned resource persons.
For those involved in the continuing professional development, bills and resolutions, may we please request
Sige po.
those involved in the CPP issues. Kindly raise your right hand. State your name. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this
so that we can have a more systematic hearing. We deal first with the other bills before we deal with the more controversial CPD issues. Okay, we are now going to consider Senate Bill number 1630, the act regulating the practice of microbiology in the Philippines and for other purposes. Ganito lang po, no? Briefly, I will ask the resource persons, then you can state for the record whether you agree or support itong measure na to or not. Then, yung mga amendments po, yung mga proposed amendments can be tackled later on at another schedule na technical working group. So, Civil Service Commission, Assistant Commissioner Roquillo.
Your Honor, I have with me the copy of our position paper which we already submitted. States here that is.
Salamat po. Jen? Okay. BPRC? Chairman?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, we submitted our position paper on regarding the bill and we agree with the proposed.
Salamat po. DOH? DOH? Walang representative ng Department of Health. May register. Okay. The College of Home Economics, Food, Nutrition, Science, UP Diliman.
We submitted our decision paper, and we have just coordination and some.
Okay. We'll incorporate all of those comments and suggestions during the technical working group meeting. But do you support or this bill or not? Yes, you support. Thank you. Philippine Academy of Microbiology.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Academy of Microbiology, please support.
Salamat po. Philippine Science of Microbiology. Philippine Society of Microbiology.
On behalf of the Philippine Society for Microbiology, please strongly support this bill.
Thank you. So, with that, we will suspend the consideration of Senate Bill 1630 and schedule a technical working group meeting to flesh out those details and incorporate those concerns and other things. So, those resource persons for Senate Bill 1630 are hereby excused. Thank you. We now move to Senate Bill number 189.